Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me / us. It's me, Matt. There's the camera. I keep looking into this one. ESC United. It's Gabe and Connor here in beautiful, I think, Liverpool. The only thing I've seen, it's a train station and whatever. It took me 2 miles to walk here or so because everything is blocked off. Everything hurts. Can please, people in the chat, do me a favor and let me know if you can hear me. And Connor, speak up a little.
Hello, it's me. Hi.
If you can hear Connor, let us know. And if the internet is working somewhat decently, as the first time I'm checking out the internet here in our beautiful hotel, and with no AC. Somebody's going to get yelled at in a little bit. It's not working. But we're here still trying to get situated, but we're here to talk about, you guessed it right, Eurovision. It's a very important day, if you will. The day before dress rehearsals is the calm before the storm, although not for everyone, because Connor, you're going to a special event?
Yes. Well, me, oh gosh, putting me on the spot. I think me and Melanie and Roy and Sean, I think it's the four of us, will be going to the National Lottery, whatever it's called, party that's happening down by, isn't it Lime Street?
Yes, directly outside the train station.
Yeah. So we'll be going out to that and having a great old time. I'm super excited to see how that goes.
Yeah. So people are saying it's a very choppy stream right now. Let's give it a second to see if it finds itself, the internet. Do they have I don't have Ethernet cable either. So let's just give it a shot and see how it goes. Just give us a minute or so. And if it doesn't get better, we'll see if we're going to switch to like phone, internet, or something like that.
I have a backup plan.
Right now, I'm looking at my screen. It looks a little better. So just hang on tight. It's all just still being situated here. But yeah. So who's performing tonight there, Connor?
That's a great question that I don't know the answer to. I just know that I'm going.
Oh.
I'm Googling it as fast as I can.
This is one of those things where for this entire week, I've kind of known what's happening and when we're going and things like that. I'm just showing up and I'm smiling because I was told I had a ticket and I said, sounds great.
Well, doesn't it?
I know that was it Dua Lipa? Not Dua Lipa.
No, it's not Dua
Sorry.
Lipa. Can you imagine? If it was Dua Lipa,
Zara Larsson
is
is performing.
So Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Lightning Seeds, Atomic Kitten, The Real Thing, Jamala, Conchita Wurst.
Oh, so is there any Eurovision people? So there are in the end. Okay.
Shirley Ballas, Ricky Tomlinson, The Vivienne, Zara Larsson, and Cream.
Richie Thompson, the one from the One Direction folks?
No, that's Louise Tomlinson.
Oh, okay. I was like the very names on
Close, but not correct.
No cigar. I tried to be hip.
You're very hip, Matt.
I know.
You're the most hip of all of us.
Yeah. So anyways, as you can see, we're all a little not we all, just me. I can speak only for myself. A little bit through the wind here because, yeah. So I just got here 30 minutes ago. I don't even remember, 45 minutes. Checked into my hotel room, and all of a sudden, as soon as I woke up, it's like, Gabe, I'm here. No, got to walk back down and get him to my room. And then 10 minutes later, I finally set everything up. And then Connor, I'm here. I'm like, got to walk back down and pick him up. Next time you guys know how to get here, you can just walk through and come to my place.
Dangerous.
Yes, the hotel. This hotel security is not quite with it. Like, I walked into the reception and just sat down. No one said a word. There's no, I could have walked straight to the lift and gone straight up to the lift and gone to any room and just knocked on the door, and there'd be nothing to stop me.
I did ask them, so I was like, no one's going to stay overnight, but I have guests over. I'm like, okay. I just want to make sure there's not an issue. So yeah. So this is where we're at. So all of us, people are asking, no, we did not see the turquoise carpet. Most of us didn't care. It's not our thing. So, but I'm glad all of you enjoyed that. Oh, Stefan. I want to say Stefan, but he always makes fun of me. What's the first thing y'all all do when you get into PC? Well, neither Connor nor Gabe have ever experienced the press center before in Eurovision, so I don't know if they even know what to do first.
Cry.
Yeah.
Cry.
No, I'm kidding.
See, I'm not actually. I probably will have a little sob. I hate to go on mush on you guys.
No, every once in a while.
You're knackered. You've only been here half an hour, and here I am, being all self-indulgent. But I have to say, for me, and I'm sure for all, we've followed this contest for so long. We watch it every year. We live and die for it, sort of thing. So it is a real privilege to be able to have, that opportunity. So I'm really excited for that. I did, however, have a bit of a scare with my accreditation, which I'll tell you all, because I went down yesterday, to there's a little, it's essentially like a little kiosk outside the arena where you get your accreditation.
Wait, I'm sorry to interrupt. The carpet is still going on?
Yes.
No. Wait, yes?
Somebody says no address right now? Or maybe address. No, never mind. No, I misread that. Sorry. I thought you meant now. It said wow.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me because it was going very, 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 very slowly.
Yeah.
But
go ahead, sorry.
So I get to the accreditation desk, and everything seems to be fine. They've taken my passport, looked everything up. It's all okay. Although they did have to, they had to change the name from Gabe to Gabriel because you have to have your full legal name. No one is allowed to call me Gabriel. Only my mother. None of you even bother trying it. Especially you. No, that's actually just as bad, possibly worse. Either way, I've got my eye on both of you.
When you're in trouble, I'll make you do that.
Yes. Well, no, actually, no, don't do that. That's no, you're not allowed. But and then they print it off and they go, your accreditation has no privileges on it. This is what happens when you try to print off an accreditation for someone who only has online access. So I'm thinking, I'm absolutely pooping myself. But I say, no, this is wrong. I have the confirmation email. I have press center access. So I go across the street and they say, come back in 45 minutes. We're going to call the EBU, come back in 45 minutes, and we'll see what's happened. So I go and I sit in a hotel across the street from the arena. I'm thinking, there's all the situations playing out in my head, I don't know if you guys can hear that. So all the situations playing out in my head, like, have I said something to annoy someone? Have I, been too dramatic on stream or something? I don't know. But I go back after 45 minutes, deep breaths. I'm, preparing myself. And then I get back to the desk and they go, oh, no idea what was wrong. We printed it again. And it was fine. You could have come back in 5 minutes. So that was an hour I lost, and I almost missed the Sudden Lights meet and greet. But
makes you even appreciate that accreditation even more, though,
yes,
right?
Exactly. I feel like I had to fight
positive
for it.
spin.
Mine was even worse. I just walked up. They said, can I have your passport? I gave it to them. They said, wow, hi, Connor. Here's your accreditation.
Wow, that was like
thanks.
Cold. I'm worried now that I'm going to get the Gabe treatment, so I'm picking up mine. I can talk. I am going to pick up mine tomorrow morning. So hopefully it won't be an issue. So anyways, let's talk about Eurovision because people are asking already. So this is just a quick, let's talk about what's expected over the next week. And then tomorrow is when the fun really starts. So yes, there will be live streams. We have 2 tomorrow. One for the first dress rehearsal of Semi-Final 1, which starts around 1-ish. And then Gabe and I will mostly take you throughout that show. We'll also have a live blog, more to come on that. And then in the evening, Gabe will actually be enjoying the fun in the arena. I'll be once again here reporting on the second dress rehearsal, which formerly known as the jury show. And then I'm still trying to figure out who will be joining me because, the team is still trying to figure that one out. But that's to come. And then we're going to repeat that throughout the week. And so there will be plenty of live streams, plenty to talk about. Tuesday is, of course, the actual live show that you get to see. So we'll have a pre and post show of that. We're not going to have a whole live stream doing that because I don't think you want to watch us watching the semifinal. I mean, you can if you want to, but I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense. So that is the plan. And what? Okay, I'm going to start with you and then to Connor. Tomorrow, we know we're going to have the whole run through. We start from the opening act to the very end. What is the thing that you are, whatever it may be, song, show, whatever, you're really interested in tomorrow to see?
I think we can all agree that the most important thing we're going to see tomorrow is fake qualifiers.
Yes. And this time we mean it, actually. Because usually it's a joke, but actually this time we do mean it because we want to know how it works.
Process.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it may be, I know, and I know you guys are all invested in them anyway, but they have that extra importance this year. I'm thinking about this with apprehension because I'm worried it's gonna look and be really stupid and kind of cruel. obviously, I hope that isn't the case.
You heard it's not the case?
No, I hope it's not.
Oh, I hope. Okay.
But so I'm curious about that. Obviously, with the morning show, I'm less invested in how the acts perform because they're all going to be saving themselves. It's about essentially, preparing yourself for the evening more than anything else. I mean, it's a closed rehearsal as well to everyone except the press. You might see acts not in full dress yet, a la Southern Lights first rehearsal. But yeah, so for me, it's about that qualification sequence. That's the most interesting thing to me that's coming tomorrow.
Yeah. Now, what's another thing that you're looking forward to, Connor?
I think for me, it's the opening. Because, when we've watched, obviously, or when we get to watch the dress rehearsals, we get to kind of see how the broadcaster is creating the opening statement. And I think in the first semifinal, most importantly, like, how are we opening the entire experience of Eurovision? It's a pretty big opening. And so what does that look like? What have they had, planned? Is it going to be that we're going to see some of those intervals that they've announced at the beginning? Are we going to see, Ukrainian music mixed with British, like Liverpool legends? Like, what ideas do they have mixed in here? So definitely that. And I think for me as well, it's going to be the fact that I no longer have to think in interviewer mode.
You've all of them done, you basically?
Not all of them. We will still have one tomorrow afternoon that I will do. And then I pass the microphone to Roy because we'll be the jury show. So Roy's going to do 2 for me. He'll do Germany. So I'm super excited. Yes.
We're going to be for the jury show.
In the arena with me.
We'll be in
the arena. That's the arena.
Yes,
both of you. That's
we'll be queuing. It won't be started, but we'll be queuing for it. So I'm going to pass the mic to him. But that is the last one that we have currently scheduled, which is totally fine with me because we've already done, I think, at the point of this stream, I think we've literally released almost 16 interviews. Just here.
How many have you done in total? Do you even know?
Like as we've been here?
Yeah. No, just in general, like for this season, like with artists, like online.
Of the ones who we still haven't seen, I've probably talked to at least 25 of the 30 to 37.
And I talked to a few of them as well. So between all of us,
I think quite literally, if you line up all of the artists across all the pre-parties, the ones that I did virtually, and the people that we talked with here, I think that there's maybe 3 artists that we just were not able to grab. Maybe actually it might just be like 1 or 2 that I just can't like manifest.
That's okay. Mentally. Yeah, I was just curious.
No, I think we've done a fantastic job this year of trying to make sure that we touch all of the delegations and create content around all of the songs and artists.
Yeah, that is super exciting. Let's see some question first here. Is it coming clips from dress rehearsals tomorrow? You should not be getting any clips from the dress rehearsals. There is only you get pictures. You get maybe some snippets from, actually, let me correct that. Yes, you will. Not probably from the EBU. It's actually just from the regular press. But they're also limited what they can show you. So we'll give you some clips as well. And Melanie will be in the press center doing some stuff. But there's limits on what you can and cannot see there as well. That's why we'll bring you all the goodies throughout the shows and the breakdown in the blog here through live stream. So make sure to stick around for that. And as always, any questions you have at ES United in the chat. So that is where we're at. For Connor, I got a question from Ray Mapper. How are you surviving all of those amazing interviews?
I slept a lot this morning.
I know. I was like making fun of you all on Twitter. No one responded. They're still not seeing it. I love it.
No, it hasn't been as difficult. So I was talking with my partner about this because 6-hour time difference and just being able to connect with him and keep in tune and in touch. And like we talked about how you just kind of treat these interviews like a conversation. Like you're just talking about Eurovision, like with your best friend, if you will, that they're not difficult. And if you prepare, I've been researching these artists for 2-ish weeks and thinking about cool ways and fun ways to interact with them that are different and unique. And when you come with that level of preparation, again, it's just like having a cute one-on-one conversation with someone that you just, you listen to their music. It's like if you went to a theater and you like, you stand at the backstage door and you want to talk to an actor, like you're just talking to the actor. And so that's how I treat it. I do this a lot. So, and I meet a lot of new people every single day. So it's pretty easy. But yeah, no, today has been shopping and sleeping and just kind of chilling so that I can kind of refresh.
Yeah, because tomorrow will be a pretty busy day.
Yes.
The second day, actually, Tuesday is less busy because you can sleep in because nobody cares about the third dress rehearsal anyways. Nobody, after seeing it twice, you don't want to see the third one. And
it's really just for the locals for the most part.
Yeah, that's why it used to be called Family Show or still lovingly, but it's mostly just, like often for the locals, as you said, families, sometimes of the artists or people who work at Eurovision to give them access as well.
We should say Connor is being extremely modest. So allow me to brag on his behalf. Connor has had, when I went to see Voyager in London a few weeks ago, they told me that Connor's interviews were one of the best that they'd done during this process. So, I'm bragging because he's too modest too. So yes, Connor is excellent. That's my message.
Oh, well, and it's a team effort. So I want to give credit where credit is due because y'all wouldn't know this, but other people on the team have helped me with writing questions, and I've often, thrown out ideas. Like yesterday, we were at a meet and greet for an artist, and I was like, "What do you think if I ask this question? Do you think that this is the better way to ask this, or should I say this, or whatever?" And so it's not just been me. It may be me that's on camera who's asking the questions,
but it's mostly me.
No,
that's what he's saying. So you're very welcome, everybody.
No, okay. But I might be the person who's directly in front of the camera with those artists, but the team is the one who's been behind me and supporting me and helping me. And I want to give a special shout out to Melanie, who literally has been following me all across Liverpool and is making sure that we have sound and that we have camera angles and great lighting, and has just been fantastic in doing the social media as well. But again, it is a team effort. It's not just a me thing. It's all of us here. And I think you can see the passion and excitement that we all have.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
it's us, but mostly me. No, seriously. At what times will you go live tomorrow? So as a reminder, tomorrow it's around, well, when I say 1-ish, that's actually UK time, right?
Yes.
So it's 2:00 Central European time. Because
because the shows start at
I think it's already scheduled. So it's on our page. Forgive me, I don't have it in my head right now. But we're going to go live 30 minutes before the live show kicks off. So I think that's 2 p.m. Central European time, because I think it starts at 2:30, I want to say. I could be slightly off.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I thought it's something 30. So I think it starts at 2:30, the afternoon show. The evening show will start at 9 p.m., just like any other show. So 8-hour time.
I think it's actually scheduled for 8.
Wait, 8-hour time. So
yes.
So 9 p.m. Central European.
I'm also not.
We're all confused.
Me being in the same time zone as all these people.
It was weird. I was actually ahead of everyone yesterday, which has never happened before. So that was very confusing.
I mean, I'm still getting used to the fact I met Connor for the first time, was it yesterday or the day before? I'm still used to the fact that he's in 3D. He's in 3D and he's really tall. Him and Sean, you can see him and Sean approaching from a great distance because their combined height is like 12 feet. Not that they were standing on each other's shoulders.
Yeah. Oh no, we always are. Yeah. No, we're the old gimmick of the man in the coat, but it's just me and Sean in a 12-foot coat.
Yeah. Can acts change camera angles after the rehearsals if they ain't happy with them?
First of all, I love the fact that you said ain't, because that is so Southern American.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Ain't.
I love ain't.
Do you not say that up there?
No, I do. But
well, you're from Texas.
Yes,
I keep forgetting about that.
We'll say it all the time.
Well, it's in Florida for so long.
Someone told me the interview with Iru is out right now, and before the interview, this is sidetrack. Before the interview started, she was like, "Where are you from in America?" I was like, "Oh, I'm from Texas." She goes, "Oh, you have the most normal American accent," and I was like,
normal?
Thanks. And then I almost started the interview with, "Hey y'all, it's
hey y'all." I say y'all all the time. That's the leftover.
Hey y'all, it's me, Connor, coming in from. Anyway, Side note. So the answer to this question is yes. There are many opportunities to continue to change, but the problem here becomes edits to the overall process have to be minimal. Most of the things that are going to change, if they do, is they might change a camera angle or how long a camera runs. So like a steady cam moment or two, like they can clip it an extra second earlier or whatever and flip it. But besides that, most of the changes would be what's happening on stage. So like where the artists are standing, or what the choreography looks like, because those things the delegations can change internally in the studios that they're rehearsing in, but they can't make major edits because of the way that the what's what I'm looking for, the program works, the queuing program.
Or the it's like called auto cam.
Yeah, like it all logs it in, so they might be able to make like little tiny ones, but they can't change the whole 3-minute structure.
Because one thing changes, basically everything else changes. Because you have to make something a little longer or whatever. That's why when you see often these videos, you compare the second or the semi-final performance to final performance.
That's why there's always this little minute, and they can always change things. I think I was talking with someone about someone in press. But yeah, if you look at those, the reason why there are edits specifically from the semifinals to the grand final is because they do have that opportunity to make more significant changes for the grand final if they want to. But like, again, many minute little changes of pulling off early or staying a little bit longer. In a grand final, they may literally change from a steady cam to a long shot or a long shot to a close up. That's when they have the opportunity to work on it because they know what did or didn't work.
People in the chat, real quick, thank you for letting me know about the time issue with the live streams. Apparently what happened was because usually this particular software is set to Pacific time. I scheduled in the last night, so maybe it translated into actually local time rather than Pacific time. Mm-hmm. So that's probably why maybe the times are off. I'll double check that after this live stream, so I appreciate you bringing that to my attention.
We hate to break it to you, we're not going to be live at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
No.
Like there's no world in which that happens.
We barely gone to bed by then.
I'll be alive at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
I mean, to be fair, so will I. I'm going to be after last night. I think it's going to be quite quiet for me this evening.
We haven't even decided yet what time we want to show up because the press center opens. Doesn't it open like at 9 in the morning or something? I'm not going to be there at 9. I'm just saying that.
The press center opens at 8.
At 8 even?
8 a.m.
Well, I'm not going to be there at 8 a.m. I mean, what are you going to do that early there?
I'm going to get there a little early because I need to exchange my jacket. But other than that.
Well, you want to see it as well. I mean,
yeah,
I want to be there early and just take it in because as soon as I'm done, I have to come back here for the live stream, weirdly enough. So that is certainly still up in the works. So let's see here. Do you think there is a chance for Sweden to get under 200 televote points? Okay, Gabe, you're nodding. I can see the webcam.
So the answer is yes. Primarily a feature of what happens when other songs potentially monopolize the points. I think on the televote side, you could see Finland really, really taking off and, going up to your sort of, like I've been saying for the last few days, 370, 380 kind of range. If that happens, that will exert significant downward pressure on other countries' televote points. Under 200 is another question, because I think for that to happen, I think we'd need to see a few other songs really resonate with televoters. Now, that's certainly possible, but I think it's unlikely. This is why I've been saying that Finland needs those kinds of numbers to win, because if Loreen is still getting 210 or 220 with the televote, then that's one heck of a lead that will have to be surmounted if Sweden has won the jury vote.
I keep saying this. I think I literally had a 3 hour long conversation about this with Euroclub last night. And I've had it with a Finnish media person as well. But I truly believe that this year is going to be the year where we have a second place in both winner, where most likely Sweden's going to win a jury, Finland's likely or win a televote, but they are not going to be second place in the either category.
Yeah.
So Finland will not be second, and Sweden may not be second in a televote. I predict that they're both going to be top 5, and it also just depends on who's there.
How the points. It could be the situation. Remember,
very long. Yeah.
Duncan Lawrence won with 2nd and 3rd place, but Barbara Pravi did not.
Correct. So that's why I predict that. Is because I think that there's just not there's not a case in here where the obvious choice is a first and first.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to be a clear runaway. And so the question there lies is that who would be in that second or third bubble, or the more fun one. What happens if the juries and televotes drastically disagree with each other and the winner actually comes out of like 7th place from the jury, but comes second in the televote because everyone else was, bottom 5 in the jury's top 10? Like,
The chaos.
It could happen.
Chaos option.
Well, I still had that when I still had that simulator on ESC Nation. You could see that actually technically being an option. I mean, it has to go quite wild, but we've seen crazy things before.
I don't think that one will happen, but like it most certainly could. It could be a kind of situation of you've gotten almost you win the televote and you were 19th or whatever in the jury, but I do truly believe that probably second or third would probably be the most realistic choice here. Could potentially be the winner.
Oh, the 4th place. I mean, look at both that Italy and Ukraine came 4th in the jury vote.
Correct. Yeah. I just don't know. I don't know. With last year's one, politics.
Well, that's true. That's different.
Patterns aside, I think that's a little bit of a non-example, I would say.
But Italy, then.
But Italy, yes. It has happened and it can happen. I just don't know if there is off the top of my head, a song that would potentially come 4th in the jury,
I think,
but second in the televote.
I say usually what I say. I agree with you, but let's make it about position. It ultimately is more important how many points you get.
Yeah, and the margin.
The margin, yeah. So I say it's going to be very difficult to win it all unless you get like at least 175 points from the juries. Is it possible in that upside down scenario you mentioned? Sure. Mm-hmm. But in the more like realistic way, you probably have to get at least that between 175 and 200 points to make it to the top. Unless,
most likely.
Yeah. Did you have to, it says like you have to go.
Yeah. I was gonna say after you finish. I do have to pop off because I've got to go up to Line Street and going over to the National Lottery Party. So it's been great hanging.
I'll see you at your club tonight.
Or my backpack. Wow.
That one.
Words are hard.
Yes.
You have to thank me. It's my place.
And thank you for giving up your space for me to sit for 20 minutes so I'm not in Starbucks for 2 hours.
Anytime. I'll see you at your club. Don't forget to send me that thing.
I did.
You did already? Well, you're way ahead of me.
Haha.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
See you later.
Good luck.
We're still here. Don't worry. You know your way all right. You just follow the signs. So.
I don't know. I'll figure it out.
All right. Americans.
He's gone.
I know, right? So now we can actually focus on the real questions here that you wanted to ask, not the softballs that you have to give to Connor.
Oh, of course. No, I do want to say because I've seen in the chat someone asking me, "Am I proud of my graph?" I just want to say yes. I'm very proud of my graph. You should have seen the scenes when the crossover happened last night. We were refreshing it frantically.
I know. I saw it like later on the picture. You were all like celebrating. Has it changed? Like, how was it now? Have you checked today?
Oh, so today I can tell you.
I haven't checked. I mean, I don't have the app even, so I can't even check.
So I don't have a graph, but Finland has a 6,000 point lead already.
Is that a long or run?
It's a pretty big change for one day.
Yeah.
It's one of the bigger ones we've seen. What I did want to say is that also I found it very funny and actually very flattering on Twitter earlier. Somebody quoted the original tweet when I started tracking these figures in like mid-March, and said, "Oh, there's no way this isn't a setup. Like, there's no way this isn't a setup if this has been being, this guy's been tracking it for this long. Like he's
really?"
And it's like, and I was like, I am flattered. You think I have that much power and control over the ESC scoreboard?
You should have done that for Malta.
Yes, exactly. No, next year for my next trick. Next year, they're gonna change the voting system, and so they're gonna divide it instead of 3 ways. They're gonna divide it 4 ways: Israeli gay clubs, Gerardo Demoscopico, televote, and whatever I think. That's the 4 quarters of the Eurovision voting next year, as has been decreed by Twitter. Shout out to Jack Lawson, and he's been in other. It's been a long day, man. The point is, I was right. I was right all along. I'm a genius, and you should all just believe whatever I tell you because I'm clearly right 100% of the time.
I guess not everyone will get that sense of sarcasm, but I guess I have to point out like a disclaimer. It's sarcasm, people. I do sarcasm on Twitter all the time. Does not translate. Does not translate. Let's see here. Some questions. France, winning chances. What do you think? Could you see, Gabe, France as a potential winner? I mean, I think if anything, it would have to be kind of like the scenario that Connor just described, like the second, third place kind of winner. Would you agree? Or could you see like even more for them? They're getting a little bit of a hype.
I think it's possible, but I like the song. I think it's a good song and it's well performed, but I don't think it has enough. For me, it doesn't have enough to deliver the kind of pulling power it needs to deliver to get up to the top of the scoreboard. I think top 5 is a real possibility. And jury especially, I think you're looking at a song that could come very high indeed. You know, even pop, I wouldn't rule out it winning the jury. But I think its televote, it will fall a little flatter on the televote. And as a result, that will make way for someone else.
Yeah.
So I think I'm not going to rule it out totally, but I would say at the moment it's unlikely. As for my perceived bias, I think, you know, I really don't think people have been... Think about how many accounts it would be, and I promise I'll shut up about this after this.
Okay.
But somebody said in chat that that Finland gaining however many points in however many days is unrealistic, and people have been bossing that app.
Mm-hmm.
Who the hell has the time and the effort to make that many accounts? You know, to 60,000 points. Put it this way. So if the maximum any one account can boost a song by is 12 points. So you're looking at like 5,000 accounts. No, sorry, 50,000 accounts.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken.
Don't you have to? Can you do multiple accounts? You have to buy phone number. Isn't it like an app? We can do it online.
You've got to do it on a phone. You can't do it online. No, I didn't mean 5,000 accounts. No one is making 5,000 accounts on the SE scoreboard.
Yeah.
And putting all the points into Finland. That doesn't make sense. So, Sina, I've agreed with several things you've said in the stream over the last few weeks. But personally, I think that one is not accurate. I think there's no evidence to suggest that there's been any kind of
cheating, rigging.
Yeah.
Why would you go for that anyways? And I'll say, I got a lot of heat from my tweet yesterday from a lot of people, like I'm a party pooper, because I'm like, stop listening to these polls. I'm like, you know, like just out of it. It's just like, it's just a big, okay, I'm going to say, I find it a big fan base circle jerk, you know, like I vote for this, da 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 da. I'm like, just enjoy the song, forget about it, and don't look into it too much. And people pointed out correctly before, it's Cyprus was in the lead, Spain was in the lead, and they didn't win. It's just a tiny little thing, and it's fun to look at it and look at statistics. But I saw people before with Lorraine, and now with Karya, immediately it's done. They won Eurovision. You know, and I'm like, no, don't let that ruin your chance. Like, your fun about it. It means very, very little. So, but yeah, let's move on to some other topics at ES United in the chat about the next week, about our thoughts, and just your statement as well, because we want to hear what you have to think. Okay, let's. Oh no, there was something. Let me scroll up here. We haven't talked about that yet. We talked about team just online yesterday because we haven't seen each other until a few minutes ago. Have you seen the UK rehearsal clip disaster? Got to hand it back to you, Gabe, as our UK. So in case before some may not know, so yesterday the Big Five rehearsed for the second time. That's when all the snippets go on, and they put up the video on premiere mode, and then whoop-de-doo, it disappeared. And then sure, it didn't come back up for the longest time. And then the broadcasters, Germany and Spain, I know they released their own personal clips on their social media. And then eventually the clip went online for 5 out of the 6 countries. One country, Gabe, what happened to the UK clip? And what are your thoughts?
So this is a good example of, I'm sure many of you have seen that photo where it's the trust nobody, not even yourself. And the BBC's had a bit of a moment of that. To be honest, because basically, I mean, it was a monumental cock-up. There was this very loud male backing singer on the clip. It was overwhelming everything. Now, I've heard some people say, oh, why does she have a male backing singer? It's very common in Eurovision for an act to bring a singer to sing the exact same line an octave below.
It adds depth. Yeah,
it adds depth. It can sometimes fill out. If you're thinking about the sort of from a frequency, the sort of pitch range of a song. If you have a quite, for example, with I Wrote a Song, you have a higher vocal line in the chorus, but quite low instrumental part. So by sort of adding depth to the vocal part, you're sort of filling out the middle of that kind of tonal range.
Before I just let you before you continue, just as a caveat, because it's the melody, it's not the harmony. You cannot have that as a backtrack. You have to have a live singer because it's part of the melody of the song.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Exactly. And so it's quite common, but clearly there's been a quite large mixing error somewhere. But I think the thing that will probably have frustrated May and her team the most is that there was no indication of it in the rehearsal room when they watched the clip back.
How is that possible then?
I don't know.
So the EBU, whatever they recorded, all of them had the sound, all because they have 3 run-throughs. It's not just one, right? It's probably 3. They're all, how could they hear a clip without the male vocalist being so loud? But everything that the EBU recorded does not. And to the point, should that be a reason why they are allowed not to show the clips when all other countries, this has never happened before, basically, withhold it from the public because we're hosting it and we're the BBC, we got the power?
Well, I understand why it's a difficult question, because I understand why they wouldn't want it out there when it's very clearly not representative of the performance that they have been shown. And in fact, May Muller posted a clip of them listening back in the watching the performance back, and you can tell from sort of the body language of everyone in the room that there's no like that issue isn't there, and you can sort of vaguely hear the song in the background and the issue isn't there.
Then you could have used the clip where because during the verses, I don't think he sings, then I should have used it. They cannot make an exception for the BBC. There are plenty of other artists who had sound issues, problems in the past, and the fact that the BBC gives himself a pass because, we don't want it out there. Even if there are technical difficulties, so be it. It just seems very, very unfair to me. Even they could use something from the first rehearsal if they wanted to. There is a way work around it. The fact that now for the first time we don't get anything seems very unfair, and I understand the reason why they didn't want to have that particular clip up there. Sure, I can support that, but it seems more a little bit of a cop out there.
The thing is, what would have fixed this and allowed them to not and given them much less reason to worry if media was allowed to watch the rehearsal, because then everyone would have reported on it as it actually was, and we'd have perhaps some videos from inside the arena as well. By taking away those opportunities, you've created a single point of failure where if a very small team of people, if one of them does something wrong, suddenly all your rehearsal coverage is compromised in this way. Whereas if you had fan media in the press center, live bloggers in the arena and so on, giving actual information about what was happening, we'd have a much better understanding of where these performances were at. Yeah. That's part of the reason why I think it's actually more difficult to predict a lot of other than the big favorites, which I think most people agree generally, of the sort of definitely of the 2 prime candidates to win. Everyone knows that I think basically everyone agrees that Sweden and Finland are the clear fan favorites to win.
But yeah,
beyond that, I think it's really difficult, and I'm finding it a lot more difficult to predict what's going to happen sort of in the middle of the pack with so much information missing that we usually have. Even if they just opened one of the rehearsals, or even if they just gave us, they gave the press access to additional snippets and so on. So it does all come back to this desire to centralize everything and hold, sort of cling on to everything close to your chest. It causes unintended side effects, and it compromises the experience as a whole.
Yes. So there you go. That's what you get, leaving us out. And the American comes out to me here, of course. I'm like, who's paying for this? You are. You're the taxpayers. That's all, public pockets that your money goes towards it. So I feel like you need to have a right to see all of that. But that is, European and American way of thinking is, of course, very, very different.
Well, actually, you make a fair point, because the contest is funded by public money. And I mean, part of and it is unique amongst it shows of its genre that it is
This is not like an idol show where it's all just average. Yeah, it's a different thing.
It is a publicly funded project, and there is a degree of insight that people should have into that. Now, I'm not going to go ultra extreme here and be like democratically elected Eurovision Executive Committee, but
common sense.
The point is that a little bit of openness towards the media and the public is very healthy.
It goes a long way
because of the way the contest is provided for, and I think it's a really good point to make.
Yes, exactly. What do you make France, Spain, and Italy in the first half, and Germany in the second half? Yeah, the two of us really haven't had a chance to chat about that either. So yesterday, what remains of the direct qualifiers, because UK and Ukraine already pulled 19 and 26 respectively, right? Germany, second half, and all the other three songs in the first half. My first reaction was, wow, now I want all the slow songs in the first half and all the bangers at the end. How cool would that be? Like Australia, second half, Finland, who have all the upbeat songs. So it would be really cool, but I just want the producers' heads to explode and panic, because, I'm so much against the producer-driven running order that it's like, I want them to suffer. I want them to suffer so much. No, I thought it's kind of funny how it happened, but people, in my opinion, freak out about it a little too much. And that comes from the one a person that says running order matters. But since a producer usually put the popular songs, let's call them that, usually in a better position the first half, you should be fine. I don't think France is going to get a bad running order because they got a less than ideal one last year, and it's a third in the betting odds. She's going to get between 10 and 13. Spain most likely will get something decent as well, even though they got a good running order last year. But, it's Spain. I'm pretty sure they get something decent. The only one I could see being like a little punished, for the lack of a better word, Italy. But other than that, I wouldn't be too worried. What are your thoughts?
So I actually think we could end up with three big six countries in a row in 12th, 13th, and 14th. I think we could have France, then Spain to close the first half, and then Germany to open the second half. Now, the reason for that is Germany, if you've had a little break of 5 minutes, you need something to get people going again. I think Germany really does that well. I think they will be there's a vested interest there, as we've spoken about, to put, as they're quite big favourites, doing well in the betting odds and so on. There is an interest in putting France and Spain as late as they are allowed to. So I think they'll do that too. That leaves Italy as the sacrificial lamb. And unfortunately for Italy, I do think it is going to get lost a little bit in that first half.
Yeah. Could be the sixth number. Could be even second. Who knows? Or third. But anyways, go ahead.
But, so that's how I see it occurring. One thing that will make this way more interesting is imagine if Sweden and Finland get drawn first half as well. How on earth do you do that running order? Because at that point, you have to put a big favourite in before the 10th song.
And then count Norway on top of it, because another favourite, right? So, yeah.
So it is not what the producers would have wanted. But obviously, what it does mean now, there are more slots left in the second half. So it's more likely.
Actually, no, I think it's tied. Because UK and...
Oh, you're right. Yeah. No, sorry, it is. I don't know where I pulled that from.
Yeah, because you didn't think of the two that are already. That's fair. Yeah. That's why I was thinking the same thing, and then oh wait, Ukraine, UK already are in the second half, so it's tied now. So that should be 10 left each.
Yes. So actually, that what I was about to say, complete rubbish. Please forget the last 30 seconds ever happened, and I'm just going to say something else. So they'll be hoping, but I mean, that said, it is quite unlikely that all of Finland and Sweden and Norway will be in the first half. Because the chance of that happening is like flipping a coin 3 times and it landing on heads every time.
But if something like this were to happen, like let's say Finland gets first half and Sweden gets second half, that increases Sweden's odds significantly, I think, and vice versa, of course.
At the same time, if you're the Finnish broadcaster and you get drawn first half, you're picking up the phone or you're speaking to someone, you better not screw us. Don't put us like first or fourth or something or early on. And I think if either Finland or Sweden gets drawn first half, they're going 12th or 13th.
Yeah.
And I think if they both get drawn first half, they will be, they will give the Anja Nissen treatment to someone and put them like 8th and 10th or something like that. Like they did in Ukraine in 2017 with, was it Portugal and Bulgaria? or Portugal and Sweden. And there was two.
Bulgaria was second half in 2017.
Okay, there was two songs of big favourites. One of them was Portugal, and then there was Denmark, and then there was another big favourite.
Oh, yeah. Somebody's fault is that again another sacrificial lamb. I'm like, you know.
Yeah. The thing is, this is the problem with Italy, is that you could conceivably put Italy in between Finland and Sweden, and it would be a good contrast. It would hurt Italy a lot, but it would be a good contrast. Obviously, we could be completely wrong, and it could flip it around and make Italy take loads of jury points away from them. You know,
yeah.
Who knows?
Question: do you think? I don't even have an answer to that. Do you think there could be a benefit of being in the first half? I have a hard. I don't think there could be a benefit, at least not in. Because keep in mind when we talk about running order, it's more impacting the televote. I'm saying there's no impact on jury, but the biggest impact is on the televote. So me thinking about it, I don't know if there is a major impact. The only thing I can think of is really just one, all the big favorites are in the second half and one is in the first, and they get like the 13th, and then some weaker songs follow, you know, so they have like a lot, you know, there's nothing in the beginning that really make them stand out. But that one song, that's the only thing I can think of. But no, I don't think so otherwise.
Yeah, I think the thing with the halves is, I mean, being in the first half isn't prohibitive if you're, and this is why I'm not actually hugely stressed about whether Sweden and Finland are the first or second half.
No.
Because if that really matters, that's one of the things that matters in the margins. If you're looking at, if you've got a very open year where there's no clear, very strong favourites that stand out for a large proportion of people. Now, again, I'll use 2017 as the example. Salvador Sobral blew everyone away. Absolutely blew everyone away, performing in the first 10 songs on the night.
No, he wasn't the first song.
He was. Didn't he perform 9th?
No. Let me double check. He was like in the end, I'm pretty sure. He was like 11th or 12th. I could be wrong, but Eurovision 2017.
Am I finally losing it? If I
finally?
Already. All right. Okay.
Let me double check. 11th. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was off by 2, but that was it. It was Italy and Portugal. We're looking at it now. The Anja Nissen treatment, Denmark in between. But my point is that, you know, Portugal. So that's quite early on, and it wasn't prohibitive because in that instance, the European public adjudged it to be vastly stronger than everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not prohibitive. And because of that, I think specifically when you're talking about Finland and Sweden this year, I think people don't need to worry about it too much. They're going to be like 11th and 13th or 10th and 13th. If they're in the first half, if they're in the second half, they'll be like 17 and 21. Yeah.
And people also, just to add some clarification, because, you know, we had the conversation a few times, but not everyone is always online, or we have some new folks following us. When we say, you know, it's more difficult to do well, that doesn't mean you cannot do well earlier on. Just your odds are increased. We have seen early songs, Turkey 2003, 1 out of 4th position. Although you can make a case she would have won by a lot more than 1 point if she would have performed later. The point is, though, statistically, if you look at any data we have available, it is pretty obvious that, you know, the earlier you perform, the lower your numbers are on average, especially when you look at semis. And just statistically, that's what leans to. But yeah, you can, the Russian grannies, they were like, almost won the televote with 6th position. So I'm not saying it's not possible, but just statistically, it decreases your odds, especially like if you're like 8th and before. You know, after that, it's not quite as dramatic.
Although we should point one thing I do. I think there's been good points made in chat as well by Stephen and Vaco, who've been talking about. Firstly, Vaco saying since 2015, the majority of the winners were from the first half. So you know, there's clearly, if you're in the first half, they find a way of making it work for you.
Yeah.
And secondly, what Stephen was saying, which is that the televote, that performing 10th to 13th is equally favourable as 20th to 23rd, which is also true.
Yeah.
And I think it's
but only since 2013, because they put
the
is it favourable though? Or it's just because they put the favourites here since we have for the past 10 years. I don't, you know, it's just really what it is. That's why it looks favourable, because the favourites are in those positions every single year. That's why I'm not a big fan of the producer, because it seems unfair, right? Because they make, I mean, yes, they can look at betting odds, they can look at fan polls or whatever and make that determination, but ultimately it seems a little
and so does performing last hurt you though? Well, I think it's just Ian there saying, does performing very last hurt you? all I'd say to that is if you ask the 37 artists this year, would you rather perform first or last in the final? Every single one of them will say they'd rather perform last.
Yeah.
It might not be the best spot to have in the world. I think there's general consensus about where the best place to be is, but it's a good spot. You want to be later in the show.
Yes.
And if that means being a last, then so be it.
Yeah. I don't think it hurts you. I'm saying it helped. Like Italy 2015 won the televote by a landslide, or like by a significant margin, I should say. So
and that was a marathon final as well. Song 27.
Yeah. So that was insane. So I don't think it's going to hurt you much. But yeah, I think that's, usually I want to end with something more lighthearted, fun. So maybe two of a song. That's why I put Italy in 24th and not 26th into that 21. Probably a little much. And so yeah. Can you imagine France opening the finale with that intro? Do you think they could really think because you want to be first and fourth, but I don't know they will do that just because France got 6th last year. They will not do that to them again.
I think the delegation would feel royally screwed if, given the current buzz, they were put first. I think in terms of stakeholder management, that's not something that EBU is likely to do. Yeah. I know that they say that it's a producer decision and that it's sort of editorially independent of the EBU as an organization. But I think you can see, even if that is the case, it's very clear, like that they're trying to step on as few important toes as possible in the process, and it's understandable. And I think in some ways, it is fair not to deliberately firebomb a favorite by putting it first. But I get how it's also, that means you put someone else there. Yeah. And
because I'm not a favorite, I get punished.
Yeah, you're the sacrificial lamb. It does.
Sorry, Albania.
Well, Albania won't be in the final, so that's.
I was just saying, like, if they do make it, like, here's your second designated slot, because that seems like to be the case, and that's, of course, I don't want that. It just bothers me. That's why I'm like, so I asked Matt this question to Gabe. Now, who do you think is going to win the contest soonest between the Nordic? I think Norway, since they are consistent and want a win. Well, it's a difficult question because we already have 2 Nordic countries battling it out this year. So I was saying putting that one aside.
So I think the best way to answer it would be to put that aside.
Okay. Yeah.
I think, in my opinion, the strongest format at the minute and the national final that's got the most momentum about it in the Nordic countries would be UMK. So for that reason, I would say over the next few years, if it doesn't work out this year, I would expect a Finnish win not to be too distant in the future, or at least a series of strong results.
Yes.
Because the format is dead on. I think Norway, obviously it produces very strong songs, but it's not quite, like, if you look at the quality of UMK versus MGP in this year, in my opinion, I think that UMK was higher quality. Melfest is Melfest, and while I think there's been some cracks appearing in the last couple of years, and I think that they've been lucky that they've had a couple of very good songs each year save them from, having to confront the fact that the format isn't working as well as it did 5 years ago. I think that there's a clear direction of momentum, and it's towards Finland at the moment, I'd say, out of the Nordic countries.
Yeah, even putting this aside, actually, this year I would agree. It's consistency. It seems like they are very consistent, and whatever they're doing, whoever's in charge of picking 5 or 6 songs every year, right? They're picking a very interesting bunch, very diverse, but very just like popular with the masses. And I don't know who is in charge, but keep going at it. It's like amazing how they have 6 songs and they were all really good. Yes, you may some better than others, but you're just like, oh my God, I can see why people will go for it. Let me ask you this question. Is there going to be a video reaction to the Big 5 rehearsal clips? I want to know your opinion. So there's not going to be a video because I was traveling, so I didn't get to see it at that point. Then it was delayed, and I'm like, F this. I'm not going to stay up for all that. So, and then I watched it, and I cannot pretend now that I haven't seen, like, oh my God. But we can talk about them real quick, just like in a very short summary. Great. Let's go for them real quick. Who was first rehearsing? I don't remember. So we can't put UK aside because no clue. Let's do Germany. Germany,
I think they did the right thing, but taking the the multi-level kind of staging there at the national final and really scaling that up. I think it's visually very striking. It always has been. I think that's why Lord of the Lost were a really good sort of representative in this genre of music. And the performance, as we know, is going to be great. The vocals sounded fine. It's going to really stand out, basically, no matter where they put it in the running order now as well. So I think a lot to be happy about, and I think potentially a big winner with the televote.
I think
not
so
like it's not going to win the televote. But
no,
it could do very well.
Yeah. Real quick before we continue, thanks a lot for that super chat from Lima Standard. Thank you for always keeping us updated. Have a great Eurovision week. Greetings from one Beatles city, Hamburg, to another. I lived in Hamburg for quite some time, so I'm pretty familiar with that city. Yeah, so I agree with everything you said. I think also you made a good point. It really depends on who lands in what in the end. But you potentially, like Germany early in the second running order. But if we get a lot more upbeat songs, I could see Germany being like in Italy of 21, closer to the end to wake people up again. Because people will be, people drift off, but then there comes Germany. And no matter how you feel about the song, it'll be a memorable moment. I think it's a greatly staged. I think it looks amazing. They sound amazing. And there's a reason why people talk about it. Yeah, it's not going to win the televote, but I think it could pull I could see Universe where Germany gets more than 200 televote points.
Yeah. And I think the thing is what we've seen it in the national final, for example, where they landslid it, despite getting very little love from the juries at all, is that fans of that kind of genre of music, if you're a fan of pop music, which I'm sure many of us, including both you and me, Matt, are, then you have a lot that then you have a buffet. You have a buffet of options. Thank you so much for the membership. You have a buffet of options to choose from, at Eurovision every year. There will be 20, 25, 30 pop songs. If you're a fan of rock and metal, typically there's a very small number. So you concentrate what is a decent-sized voting block, but not the biggest one, into a small area. If that happens in the right way, and they bring along enough extra people, if it's accessible enough, you can end up with a really, really, big load of points.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, they're not the only ones this year, and it's a vote that may also be cannibalized by Finland, but that remains to be seen.
Yeah.
I think that if they can, they will avoid putting them too close to.
Yeah, no, there will be a gap. Well, the question is then Australia in there as well. They're more like that. So if let's say all three end up in the second half, I could see one being 14, one being 18 or 19, one is like 24 or something. They have to like 5 songs in between because they're both all three of them pretty dramatic. Just move on because we got more questions. Italy, what are your thoughts on the Italy staging? I know not the odds even right now, but just what you saw.
It didn't. Obviously Marco's great. We all, I don't think anyone was ever in any doubt that the vocal performance would be excellent, and his voice will, I'm sure he will sound great. The problem is, it's a really nice. It's a really nice song. I just think it's going to get swallowed up a little bit. And this is why, we previously talked about it in terms of the jury. I think it's less likely to get a big jury score for that reason. So the clip didn't really show me anything to change that view. It showed me it's going to be really professionally, very classily performed. I think there's a certain Italian brand in Eurovision of sort of classy, fashionable, and it fits that. But it's not going to pull up any victories for this year. I'm sorry. Sorry, Italy. Sorry, Marco Mangoni fans. But for me, that's I've not seen anything to change my view on that in rehearsals.
I mean, of course, I thought it looked beautiful, and I think it'll be more of the classy performances. And yes, you can make a case now the first half running order, there must be some sacrificial lambs, and it could be Italy. I do think that jury will not completely flop. I am worried about the top 10 at this point. I am still thinking it looks beautiful, but is that going to be enough? Because I feel like there are other songs that people will gravitate towards more, I think. And it just doesn't feel like a significant jury kind of magnet or televote magnet this time around. So that makes me a little nervous. But the problem is we don't know where they are in the flow of the show. So there are so many ifs and buts here. So let's, hold on. But yeah, I thought it looked beautiful. Spain.
So they have done exactly the right thing, which is changed nothing. They already had it perfect at Benidorm Fest, and the best thing they could do is keep it the same. That's what they've done. the big change is a note at the end is even bigger now. Before it was that really sort of clear, crisp, flat note. She now, if any of you have heard the studio version of that song, she is going to perform that note live. I think that is a nice change for me. It's an important difference, but I think the fact that they've brought the same staging explains why she looks so comfortable doing it.
Yeah,
it's very familiar.
she does.
It's extremely well rehearsed because they've been doing that staging for months, whereas some acts may have only had this for a few weeks. So actually, I find myself really rooting for Spain. I think the magic is still there, and when I see it performed on the Eurovision stage, the magic is still there. And to be honest, if this did end up winning, which I think is not impossible, I wouldn't be mad about it. I'd be pretty pleased. So I think they are absolutely a contender. Her voice is obviously stunning. The staging is exactly right. So I'm pleased. I'm very pleased with what we've seen from Spain.
I think, it is beautifully staged. It looks like they're ready. It seems from what we see. I mean, the whole 3 minutes, but based on 30 seconds, it looked amazing. And this will go big with the juries, and it's going to be quite popular with the televote as well. I don't know how far it's going to go with the televoters, but it's not going to flop. It just could be top 5 with them. Could also only just barely scratch in the top 10, but it's going to do really, really well. I
know the argument from people that people say that people won't get it, but you don't need everyone to get it. You only need to motivate. You only need for a small group of people to get it enough to be motivated to pick up their phone and vote. Yeah. Can Spain do that? Absolutely. Can Finland and Sweden do that? Absolutely. That's why they're, in my opinion, that's why I think they're strong. All strong contenders. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I got it because it's a super chat. Where do you think the UK will finish? That's like the most difficult one, just real quick, because we haven't seen any camera work yet. But gut feeling, just real quick.
I think there's some good signs is that actually people seem to generally find the song really catchy, and it's been generally well received on the radio and in fan polls and so on. Obviously, you have to temper those because they can only tell you so much.
Yes.
But I think we're looking at still a pretty big range from if it's performed absolutely perfectly and sounds unbelievable and they get everything bang on, you're looking at you could finish in the top 5, you could be 4th or 5th. If it doesn't quite come together, you could end up 16.
You could be on the right side, yeah. But current guts, we haven't seen much. It's the least we've seen from any country. 8th to 12th place would be my guess right now, but take that with a grain of salt. Well, so I agree with everything about that. Then who else is missing? What big 5 country? France.
Talked about France.
For me, it's if you watch my top 10 video, I'm in love with that song. I'm always caution people to get too carried away with staging and then with the initial hype about that. It is beautiful. It is amazing. And they deserve all the credit in the world. But I wouldn't carry it away just because the staging was amazing that this is now a contender. I see that we have seen it on even 2019, well, it's almost like 3rd in the betting, also 4th. And then don't get carried away. This is a way better song. I'm not saying this is a similar song, but it's just there's always this hype that happens after an amazing staging. Let's hold our breath. But in terms of staging, it's magnificent. It is beautiful. And France did everything right on this one from what we've seen so far. Let's wait for the whole thing. But based on first impression and the clips that I saw, I'm like, I love how you use the opening clip actually for the recap. Because that's one of the most, because it's my favorite part of the song. This was kind of weird. I love the beginning. Now it's just such a beautiful and grand opening that just sets such a nice tone. So I loved how they did that. So I think France is going to do really, really well. Yeah. I love it.
I think it'll do really well. I've really grown fond of it actually, and a little to my surprise because some of you may recall that when it first came out, I wasn't a massive fan of it. I found it a little dated. Now I'm not saying that my opinion is necessarily changed on that front. I still think there are things I don't like about the song, but I think especially the opening, which really grabs your attention, and that grand finale are really, really special moments.
Yeah.
In between, I think it's a bit. I think it leaves something to be desired for me, but on what we've seen, there's strength enough in that.
Yeah. How about
really go far?
I thought you were done. What about Ukraine? They were also rehearsing.
So this song, I think people are really sleeping on it a bit because it's not really got much direct competition in terms of genre or style or timbre. And it is a really contemporary, really modern sound. I think this could do really well. I think it's performed really nicely. The real wild card, the real unknown here is what's going to happen with televoters.
Yeah.
And there's a few factors for that. Firstly, I mean, last year, obviously, we saw a massive, I would call it, I think there was a show of solidarity with Ukraine, absolutely. I think that would have mostly faded this year in terms of people be like, well, we did our big show of solidarity by, voting for them to win. That's not to take anything away from.
No, I know exactly what we said. Like, it's nothing like people still feel the same way about what's going on, but in terms of Eurovision, it's a different environment.
The second thing is Ukrainian diaspora votes, which will now be very significant.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
In the countries immediately bordering, so
Poland, Georgia,
Romania, not Slovakia.
Moldova?
Slovakia is not in the contest. Moldova, Baltic states, potentially, for example, there's 150,000.
There's a lot of people in
Ukrainians
Germany.
So it's about whether now Ukrainians are not some kind of monolithic object who will all pick up their phones en masse and vote for Ukraine in Eurovision. But obviously, diaspora communities are more likely to vote for the country that they are that they've come from because they are already immersed in that culture. So it's more likely to speak to them. And so that could make them a force on the televote side of things.
Yeah, for sure.
Whether it'll push them right up to the top, I don't know. But I think people are underestimating how well the song is going to do.
Thank you, Matthew, for Super Chat. No question. Thank you for the amazing coverage. Also, send PayPal donations, 30% Google One takeaway. I really, really appreciate that. I'll read all those donations tomorrow. If there are any others, I just didn't have time today because, we just set this up really fast. And just to add on what Gabe said, I agree with everything you said because it's also, number one, the biggest growth for me of the year, I think. And number two, that staging was ridiculous. I mean, I knew kind of like on the clips, TikToks, when you see the actual camera work, it's like this is art in some ways. It's like this is why Ukraine is so good at Eurovision. It's not just because it's Ukraine. It's because they have this knack for even some speaking songs like, yeah, it's fine. And then you come to Eurovision, it's like, oh my God, what just happened?
Yeah, and the thing is, I think people really underestimate the power of institutional knowledge in Eurovision. Right?
Yes.
Because it is a very specific format. And when you build up that institutional knowledge over years and years, this is why, for example, no offense to the Lithuanian broadcaster, this is why, like, for example, Melfest is stronger than the Lithuanian selection. They have all those years of, hi, Connor.
Huh?
Connor's over there.
Oh,
and
hi.
Roy's over there.
Hi. I didn't know you were here. Oh, you're dropping it off. Okay, see you later. Bye-bye. Sorry, Roy and Connor dropped another bag. That's all I'm good for here.
That institutional, and Ukraine has a wealth of this because they've been sort of on the pulse of the contest for so long and managed to sort of maintain their success for so long. And I think we're seeing that again this year, and we'll continue to see. I mean, come on, they organised one of, in my opinion, the sort of best quality national finals in terms of the music in a train station, like 100 meters under the ground.
Yeah,
they really, really, really know what they're doing. And I think it's shown again this year, despite the fact that they are under restrictions and pressures that no other country has.
Does it remind me? Germany is performing tomorrow, Italy, right? And who else? Is it Ukraine?
I'm not sure.
I know Germany for sure, and the other ones I forgot. But there were 3 of the direct qualifiers that will rehearse tomorrow as well. So we'll get to see that whole thing as well. So we'll be here for that. We got to wrap it up here because it's time. Real quick, I know we talked about the things that we look forward to the most, the voting and the opening. But in terms of the 15 songs, what are you really going to pay attention to tomorrow? So it's something that comes to mind. For me, it's really less about specific moments in the song, although that will come as well. It's really about the flow for me. That is what I am going to feel like. Will songs stand out or be swallowed by others? Will Netherlands be completely forgotten by the time Finland takes over? Those kind of things. Is Switzerland just not as grabby as their staging wants it to be? Those kind of things I'm looking out for more rather than just a specific performance. So, but overall, of course, there are other things as well. Is there anything that you're looking
for me, I'm going to be really interested tomorrow in the camera work.
Yeah.
Because there's been problems with this. It's been well documented that they've had some issues getting the right shots in. We've had delegations saying that perhaps they've arrived and found things didn't quite look how they were hoping they would. Things haven't translated in the way they hoped they would. So what I'm curious to see is who has managed to make the changes to fix that, because at the moment I think there are not many acts in the semi who were fully pleased with where the camera sort of stuff was at. I think this is really key for Sweden. I think there are some changes that I'm sure will have been made to that. They need a little more smoke. I think they wanted some of the angles to be slightly tighter as well. Someone's asked a question to Connor. Connor is not here.
Yeah, Connor is partying while we're working. Now we're gonna grab something to eat shortly in a moment as well. Just as a reminder, we will be back tomorrow. I know the times on my thing are incorrect on the videos that I posted, but they will be fixed. But I think it starts at 1 hour time, I want to say. Yes. So the actual show starts at 1:30, but we'll be on a few minutes early so we can talk you through what's going to happen. So make sure you subscribe so you see when we're online, but the link is there as well. I'll fix the times.
One thing I want to do, there's one question, little question I just want to I want to answer, because I've seen someone ask it a few times, and I've been meaning to catch it.
Forgive me if you can't get to them all, but we'll ask them plenty of questions tomorrow as well.
And this was one saying, it's this bit on the screen now, but essentially the question was, could Germany and or Australia take points from Finland? The answer is absolutely yes. I think they are fishing to a degree in the same pond. I just think Finland has, and I think we've seen, because Finland has managed to sort of gain that very broad appeal. I think Finland is essentially fishing from several ponds. I'm really overextending this metaphor now. Whereas perhaps more Germany than Australia are drawing from a smaller pool potentially. That said, I think they've done a really good job in all three cases to make usually quite inaccessible genres of music really, really accessible.
That's what I'm going to add. And actually, I agree with everything you said, except that's why Finland stands out. I think it has a bigger pond to fish in, just because of what they're doing with the song. Because even the people that usually would not go for that kind of music seem to gravitate towards it. Whether it's the pop part of it or just the execution of it, I think they have an even bigger pond, or like they go into a different pond, So that's the only caveat I would want to add. But
I think that's basically, I completely agree. It's just that I think Finland has the biggest potential.
They're sneaking to other ones.
Yes, exactly.
They have a very long fishing line.
They've got a long fishing line, and they're stealing other people's fish from across the road on the next street.
Yeah. All right. So I said, we are not in the press center today, we're going to be in the press center tomorrow for other stuff, videos. But the whole live stream situation is a little different. So make sure to follow, and we'll keep you updated on that. We have to go. Thank you so much. And again, the Dream Team will be back tomorrow for the first live stream. Starting around 1 o'clock our time, which is 2 Central European time.
Yes.
Okay, I'm still learning because I've been in 3 different time zones for the past 24 hours or so. So I'm getting a little whoop-de-doo. All right, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone. And I'll see you on the other side, okay? Love ya.